If you've been a people pleaser all your life, chances are, when it comes to your own personal problems, your resources are very limited right now. And how do you show up in an authentic manner in a relationship? Can I be of service knowing that I may never get that service in return from this person? Will I be okay with that? Will I be okay if they do not reciprocate? How can you be more authentic? How can you come from a place of service? And how can you stop people pleasing and still have great relationships? Now, if this person's all of a sudden unhappy about you changing the dynamics of the relationship because all they've done is benefit from you being the people pleaser, they may. Hey guys, this is Coach KP, and today we're going to talk about an important topic. A lot of people are people pleasers, and I don't use people pleaser as a derogatory term, but what it is that these people pleasing patterns are not serving the people that are resorting to people pleasing. Right. So I said people a lot of times in that last sentence, but people pleasing can be very detrimental to the person doing it and also to the people that are around them, because people pleasing in and of itself shows sort of the lack of authenticity. All right, so when we're people pleasing, what we are doing is we're engaging in patterns of behavior where we are going above and beyond to meet somebody else's needs, whether doing so makes us feel good or bad. Regardless of our own feelings, what we are doing is resorting to helping other people or being there for other people. But the underlying reason behind why we people please is a little on the dark side, right? The reason we people please is because we fear rejection. So people pleasing comes from a deep place of insecurity versus sort of an authentic place where you maybe want to serve. So then the question becomes, can I still have a great relationship if I no longer engage in people pleasing? And for a lot of us that are watching these kinds of videos on people pleasing for the first time, it could be very surprising to know that it is possible to not people please and yet have great relationships. A lot of us people please because we want to be in this particular relationship really bad. And then there's some of us that have been people pleasers in all areas of their lives where they have completely forgotten, where we have completely forgotten what our needs are, what our opinions and values are in life. So when you people please, when you try to make others happy constantly, what you've done is you've forgotten about who you are as a person. Now, different cultures have different tolerance for people pleasing. So I want to say this because there are certain cultures where the society is a little bit more interdependent, and sort of that pleasing kind of then becomes normalized because everyone is doing that. So that may not stick out as much because you may be giving up something and the other person in that society may be giving up something, and then that becomes sort of a societal practice to try to be nice to this other person or try to be kind to this person, even if it means being detrimental to yourself. So there's that cultural aspect to people pleasing that we must not forget, because certain cultures are more other oriented than, say, our culture here in the United States. Now, here in the United States, people are more individualistic. In the American society, perhaps if you've been a people pleaser, it has been seen as a negative or more negative thing than it would be seen in, say, certain areas in Asia. So keeping that in mind, what I'm going to say is, when you know that you are not doing certain things for other people because you want to do those things, but because you want to please the other person, and you're doing this over and over and over again, and you're getting more and more resentful the more you do these things for this other person. That's when you sort of start to realize that, hey, am I a people pleaser? Now, if you've come to that point where you're starting to think, oh, am I doing some of these things authentically, or am I doing some of these things out of compulsion, out of learned behavior, and none of this is making me feel good about myself? That's when you start to seek for answers around, hey, what am I doing? Is there a better way to do this, right? So that's where a lot of us are in our journey, is seeking for answers about our people-pleasing tendencies. As I was mentioning earlier, people-pleasing has this air of inauthenticity in it, because you are resorting to doing whatever it takes for this relationship to work out for you, most likely, but you're not really able to verbalize that. So you're doing these things covertly, where the other party is not aware of what is going on your end. They may be thinking, oh, this person is so gentle and nice, but then you may be doing these things not necessarily out of a place of genuine niceness, but from a place of inauthenticity and fear of rejection. So when you fear rejection and you're doing all of these things for this other person or other parties, it just becomes a charade. In other words, you're just putting up this persona of being this really nice or kind person that's going to go above and beyond all the time. And trust me when I say this, going above and beyond all the time is virtually impossible in a relationship. So you may try to people please, but to completely and fully please this other person, that's neither your job description in life, nor is it possible, even if it were. So this is really an exercise in futility. Now, what can we do to stop this cycle of people pleasing, right? That's what the important question is. So we need to start to see the underlying reasons why we people please. Why do we want this relationship so badly? Are we getting some of our needs met in this relationship, or has it just completely been a one-way street? Now, once we figure out why we are doing all of these things that we're doing for this person or this party, then we can say to ourselves, hey, how much of this is comfortable to me, and how much of this is just really uncomfortable or something that I do not want to do? And at that point, the onus then comes to you to have an authentic conversation with this person or the parties that you've been people pleasing. If it's everyone in your relationship, then it may mean that you need to take a step back and choose which relationships you want to tackle first, right? Which relationship is more important to you? And how do you show up in an authentic manner in a relationship? For example, if you've been doing certain things out of compulsive need to make this other person happy, and you're being really resentful in doing that, and you've been doing it for, say, 5, 6, 7, 10 years in that relationship, now all of a sudden you're going to stop doing some of the things that you were doing. That may not sit well with this other person, because they may have gotten into sort of a mind process where they think that this relationship with you was going well, and they're going to rely on you because you've been such a pleaser for a long time. So out of the blue, if you just stop doing some of these things that you were doing with this person, that may cause sort of a breakdown of a relationship. And granted, certain relationships, you probably do not want them to continue any longer, because if you've been people pleasing all this time and you've never really got anything back in that relationship, then it's probably a relationship that was never really meant for you, right? And you may have already felt that. But what if a relationship is working, kind of sort of working? Would you then just stop all of your patterns one sunny day and expect this other person to not feel certain negative emotions, right? That becomes the question. So at this point, if this relationship is important to you and all you're looking to do is change the dynamics of the relationship a little bit so that you can get more of your needs met and you are not coming from a place of insecurity, fear, and pleasing behavior, then you may be able to sit down with this person and say that, hey, look, I need some help. I've been people pleasing, I realize, for a long time, and certain things that I've been doing for you or for everybody around in my life is causing me resentment. And I would really appreciate your help in working things out, right? So you are coming from a space of total vulnerability. Now, sometimes this level of vulnerability may not be easy for you to conjure overnight. So you may need to work on it for a few days, for a few weeks. You may need to bounce this off of a trusted friend, or go to therapy, or talk to a coach for that matter. Now, if you don't have people that you can talk to, journaling a scenario on how you are going to approach this person that is very important to you, or this party that is very important to you in your life, and you want them in your life, but you don't want to show up with them as a people pleaser, what you can do is you can create scenarios in your journal where you write down your potential approach to telling these people that you love that you no longer want to be engaged in a people-pleasing relationship, and create some potential scenarios on how they may react, right? And you do that a few times, right? And you gain confidence in your abilities to be able to open and vulnerable with these people. Now, if the person that you're speaking with, if they value you as much as you value them, chances are they will hear you out, and they will appreciate the fact that you're trying to change your life for the better, right? Because they may have noticed how above and beyond you go every single time, and although it never really maybe dawned onto them that you may be a people pleaser, they must have noticed. And if they're people worthy of being in your life, they will say something along the lines of, hey, yeah, I totally see that, or I hear you and I'm willing to work with you even though I don't see it, right? So that's the type of relationship that you want to protect anyway, right? People that understand you, people that want to be in your life. Now, if this person's all of a sudden unhappy about you changing the dynamics of the relationship because all they've done is benefit from you being the people pleaser, they may react very negatively to you saying, hey, I don't want to people please anymore, right? And those are the type of people that you probably are better off not having in your life. So that's one dimension of that. Now, the second dimension, and this is a dimension that I try to use in my life, is instead of people pleasing in a relationship, I think of all relationships as an opportunity for me to serve them. Right? Now, there's an automatic question here. How does serving other people not become people pleasing? And it very well can be, right? If you're negating your needs, if your personal needs have never been met in this relationship, if all you're doing is serving, then that may be not the best for you. But when I come from a space of service, what I'm really saying to myself is, hey, you know what? Can I be in a scenario where I will serve this person and not be resentful right now, right? Can I be of service knowing that I may never get that service in return from this person? Will I be okay with that? Will I be okay if they do not reciprocate? Now, it has taken me a bit of a soul searching to get to this point, to get to this level of finding the answer within myself when I ask these questions. So you may need to hone in on these skills, learn to become more authentic, learn to ask these questions over and over again, and analyze your own patterns of, will I be resentful or not? So after you've done it over and over again for months, weeks, you start to develop this framework where you instantly understand if something is going to make you resentful versus happy in service. If something is making you miserable in service of others, then you stop doing whatever is making you miserable. You find out how you can get your needs met. Now, when I say when you can get your needs met, it may be something that you may need to ask from other people. And when you ask, there may be rejection that you need to face. And that's all okay. If someone is not able to give you what you need at that point, then there may be other ways you can go about it without feeling resentment, that is going to allow you to get those needs met, not from this person, but maybe from a different area in life. So it does take a lot of soul searching when you go into this framework, figuring out a framework of how you operate. And it does get easier. You become more resourceful, because if you've been a people pleaser all your life, chances are when it comes to your own personal problems, your resources are very limited right now, because you've been so busy taking care of everybody else in your life that self-resourcefulness probably hasn't manifested yet to a degree that it should be for an adult to function well in life, right? And that's okay. That's okay. That's what we are talking about in this video, is how can you be more authentic? How can you come from a place of service? And how can you stop people pleasing and still have great relationships? Now, once your people pleasing patterns subside to a great degree, and once you start to really accept who you are and accept the fact that not all of our needs get met all the time through all relationships, you're going to come to this space that you'll be okay not being able to meet somebody's needs at a certain time. Because if you cannot meet somebody's needs that you've been meeting for so long by self-sacrificing, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. And if a relationship only values you for the value you're providing into that relationship, then chances are that is not a very nurturing relationship for you in your life, and maybe it's time to let that go. All right, so we've talked a lot about people pleasing and how to come out of it. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is Coach KP. Peace.